It's Tuesday, not Thursday, May 28th. So what we have tomorrow, field day. Here's how things will work for you. You'll go to the first period like right away at the beginning. You're only there for a couple minutes, and you start off doing field day, which is like 2 hours. For field day, one, they're going to be doing things, you get to walk around and talk to friends. You also are going to have a chance to get Kona ice. It is already paid for. You just have to get the Kona ice. And then there's also going to be Olympic events, which is where the field day part comes in, like tug of war, the sack race, where you have to like sack and the jumpy thing.
Oh man!
Some of you may not do that as much as others.
Can you
Good
like
job,
the
kids,
spin game
one leg.
tactics?
I don't have any legs.
And there's also like a shoe kicking one. There's like one where you have to like run holding like a ping pong ball and a spoon. It just depends from one year to the
Are
next.
any cripple friendly?
There are some that are crippled friendly. There's one where you just make fun of cripples the whole time.
Oh, I want to be in that
Put
one.
them into the. I don't know. I'm sure. I don't know all the events, or I have not looked yet. And then there's also going to be a dancing thing where we all get to learn to dance together. I have that one going on.
Wait,
Then,
who's leading the dance thing?
some professional dancer person.
Oh,
That's what I've been told.
John Legend!
Yep. That's definitely the You then have the 2 hour delay schedule. You'll have half-hour classes, except for fourth period, which is normal length. And then this will be your last actual class tomorrow. You do not have 6 and 7.
Thank God.
You start at 6, you'll go to 6, you'll check in, and then we go down to our Heroes Award ceremony in the Aux Gym. And you get to see this guy again, because I'll be leading the award ceremony.
Wait, is it
Is
just
It is just. There's a separate one for Globetrotters, another one for Stars, and one just
they
for
like
us.
go on and do it?
Does everyone get a reward?
Seriously, you handed it to me 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, I know, but Miss Melanie missed it.
Okay.
Hey, I'm here.
And then we have the award ceremony, which is the last hour of it. And then you guys get a chance to sort of like hang out, talk to each other, sign yearbooks and stuff like that. And then, as far as backpack goes, if you've not cleaned out your locker, you're going to want to bring a backpack because anything you leave in your locker when you leave tomorrow gets thrown in the trash. So you're going to want to make sure you take stuff home as opposed to just leaving it. Then to there, and so picture, we're good to go with you guys.
Where's our photo? Can we see our photo? Wait, I thought you were gonna send us on mine.
I did not get a chance to yet.
Yeah.
Can we see our photos again?
Yeah, can we see it?
Yes, again.
How skibidi is it? Draw like that. Why can't I draw like that?
Monkey fight
You guys
That
are
was racist.
Among Us? That's so outdated. That's cool.
Nathan.
I don't even realize they're talking. It just happens naturally. And so that'll be into tomorrow. Today is not a story. Tomorrow I have a story. Today is a different type of thing. This is when I told you I first gave that talk to a class at the end of the year. This is more that talk I gave them at the end of the year. I used a little bit of my stories from last week, but this was the one I aimed for, that I slowly sort of expanded out from there. I have notes, so when you guys see me looking down, it's to help keep me. I have like an hour and a half worth of stuff to talk about, but I only get to do a half hour of it with you, which is why I'm recording it, because each class gets a slightly different version of it depending on what we hit on. And I have, did I show you guys these pictures last week? Some classes I did, which I didn't. But
Mrs. Buchanan?
Boozing?
this is me in 7th grade, and then my best friend, and then my other 2 friends that I said, that was then, this is now, that sort of hit me hard when they went down that other path. It was both Mark and Mike. Their older sisters were the ones who invited them to parties. And so we went from 7th grade, where we were hanging out together all the time, to same in 8th grade, to freshman year, where that sort of stopped. And then that was the girl I had a crush on since I was going through and finding pictures. I figured it gave you...
Wait,
That's a food around like
It's actually his older brother.
Looks
I
like
have
Dolly
known
Parton.
that Mr. Brown since he was born.
Mr. Rosie.
And then this is 8th grade there. The reason I'm wearing a tie, and him also, is that we were on the football team. He's actually wearing a tie also, you just can't see it. And so we had to wear a tie on the football team. Plus, it shows you how people go from 7th grade to 8th grade, where they look like little tiny kids to like adulty kids. It was the same thing there, where you guys have done that same path where beginning of 7th grade you to beginning of 8th grade you is
Oh
like
my
a
gosh.
whole different kid.
Mr.
Last year I was
It's
5'4". Now I'm 5'9".
Mr. Brovi.
Oh,
Does Mr. Brown kind of look like Toby Cooper?
That guy does, doesn't he? Alright. And I have stuff up there, which is just sort of help keep me focused. And then those of you, when you get to Mrs. Boots' class, if you've not had her today, she's also doing a story thing.
Miss Melanie did not do that. She assigned a puppy.
I'm aware. Mrs. Boots, I inspired her last year, and I was like, I do this whole story thing, and I was like, you should give it a
You
try.
should inspire Miss Melanie.
I would like to.
No,
That's
Tanner
correctly.
already.
Inspire. I don't think so.
Why can't we
So-
Actually, she doesn't have anything to talk about because she always talks
Again,
about
don't forget you are being recorded.
I don't care. I mean, we love Miss Melanie. No, we don't.
No, we
don't.
Watch it.
Actually, yeah. She's not
You
even
guys
watching.
are just haters. Just Smelly's great.
No, she's not.
For real.
My goal with last week, with telling you guys those stories, was to build up to today. Was to sort of give today weight overall. I've also realized that a couple things. One, for some of you, today and tomorrow are the last times that I will ever see you. Because if you don't want to have me as part of your life, then there's every chance we don't see each other. Because next year is 8th graders. If you don't have a class that brings you near my room, or if you don't have B lunch, there is every chance that you will not come by here, and that there's every chance that we don't see each other. And then you guys go on to 8th grade, go on to high school, and then I'm only going to have a chance to see you at like a sporting events when I'm there or something like that. The reason I say that is I realized this is my last chance to have an impact on you. This is my last chance to sort of have any kind of way of passing along advice. And that's what I want to do today, is pass along advice to you to try and help you out. I realized years ago that you guys are on the edge of being young adults, and that 7th grade is like your last time where you get to be innocent. And I'm not sure how innocent some of you guys are, but when I mentioned like a week ago the fact that I knew that kids were drinking and smoking in junior high, and I had a number of kids give me wide eyes when I did that, that's going to change. If you are unaware of it, this summer and going into 8th grade, you are going to be presented with some pretty big kid choices coming up. By the time you leave 8th grade, you are going to know someone who either drinks or smokes or is friendly with someone of the opposite gender in some way that's scary, that is going to open up your eyes in ways that you had not been prepared for it before. And I've also learned that a lot of parents don't talk to you guys about this because they still see you as little kids. And it's not a knock on them, it's just the fact that it's hard to see you guys as big kids when you're their parent. I've been teaching too long to not know that those choices are coming. I even had it reinforced today. Second period where I have no kids, I have my prep period, and I had some 8th graders who came by because they were walking the hallways because they'd gotten out of their science class, and they came in and sat down, and I talked to them for about 20 minutes. I was asking about how 8th grade was going, and I was like, hey, I'm doing my final talk today. And I was like, so you guys, they were honor society, like advanced kids. I was like, so being advanced honor society kids, did you see any of those things I talked about? Now that you guys are getting ready to graduate 8th grade, were you aware of it? And all of them went, like we could give you names right now of kids we know who are either drinking or smoking or are friendly in ways they should not be. And they're like, there's things that we didn't even know existed. We are now fully aware of it by the time you get to 8th grade. And to make things even more scary, I had a 7th grader, actually 2 7th graders, who came up to me this morning to let me know that they were at a party this past weekend with some friends of theirs who had the opportunity to drink, and they were scared because they saw their friend do it, and they never thought this kid would do that thing. It is easy for you guys to declare now that you would never make a poor choice. It's easy for you to say that you would never drink, never smoke, never go down that path. Until you're presented and in that situation, it gets a lot tougher. And that's what I am aware of, is that you guys are going to have to make tough choices very soon. And some of you guys are going to screw up those choices. You are going to make the wrong choice, and you are going to give in to a thing that you should not give in to. But it's part of being human where it happens. I wanted you guys to know that if you go down that path, it's not the end of the world. That's why I told you those stories last week of me screwing up my life, where I thought those were times I could not come back from them. And so that's partly why I shared that with you. And it's partly why I do my talk today, where this is my last opportunity to try and have an impact on you, to try and give you guys advice. Is the drawback to caring about you. The drawback to liking you is I want you to have a good life, and I want you to have a good path in front of you. You've made me care about you, which is good, but it's also bad because you guys are leaving me. I'm unlike most teachers who look forward to the end of the year. I don't look forward to the end of the year. It's melancholy. It's sad for me because there are a lot of people I like that I will never see again. And it's hard for me as a teacher to know that these kids, these humans that I've put a year into of trying to make you better people are going to go out into the world, and I don't get to have an influence on you anymore unless you choose to come around and let me have an influence on you. And I've taught long enough that I've seen my past students screw up their lives, and I don't want that for you. I've had past students who have come to me to let me know that they were pregnant in high school, or they were dropping out of high school at 16, or that they've been dealing with an alcohol issue since they were freshmen. And I don't want that for you, especially because those kids who came to talk to me were not ones who ever would have thought that was a path in front of them. And so that's what worries me now, is that I don't think you guys necessarily know what paths are in front of you, and I worry for you what might happen. I come from a life of people knocking on my door. Oh, it's Mr. Shell. I come from a life where, in my family, oddly enough, I am considered the most normal person in my family. And, exactly. This is not normal. But in my family, I'm the only one that's not actually been in jail. I've only been arrested. I don't have any kind of substance addiction, whether to drugs or alcohol, which most of my family has battled in one form or another. I come from abuse, luckily not my mom and dad, but other members. And so I know what it's like to come from that rough background. I'm also aware that I have students this year who have rough backgrounds. That I've listened when kids talk, both to me and to each other, and I overhear things even when I don't want to overhear things. And I know I have kids this year who are struggling at home. I have kids this year who have hard home lives, whether it is from parents who are alcoholics, because I know I have kids who have alcoholic parents this year, to abusive, whether it is physical or mental. I know I have kids who go home and get yelled at. I've had students this year who have told me that they're not looking forward to summertime because they don't want to go home. And summertime, you have to be home, and their home is not a happy place. And I'm aware of all of those things. And so that's why I want to try and help guide you guys, those of you who have been in those struggly places. I thought, when I was growing up, that all homes were like my home. That every kid, I think it's normal as a kid to think that every other kid leads a similar life to you. If you come from a divorced home, you think probably a lot of homes are divorced. If you come from a home where your parents are together and have dinner together and say I love you and hug you before bed, you naturally assume every family is like that. And for me, it wasn't until junior high where I started to realize that every family was not like mine. that not every family had people who were in and out of jail or who were dealing with alcohol or had grandparents you couldn't be around at nighttime because of how much they were drinking or have an uncle that was in and out of jail for cocaine abuse. I thought everybody had those things in their family. And it wasn't until junior high that I realized that that's not true, that different families are different ways, and that was eye-opening for me. And here's why I tell you that. You have to realize that there are people who come from really struggly backgrounds at our school. That if you are the kid who has a good home life, if you are the kid that has two parents who are still together, if you have the two parents that hug you at night, that tell you they love you, that have dinner with you, that's rare. That's not a thing that every kid has. That's not even a thing that most kids have. And if you have it, cherish it. It's awesome. But there are kids who go home at our school to parents who abuse them, to parents who yell at them, whether it is making them feel bad about themselves. We have kids who never have an adult say, "I love you," kids who never have an adult hug them, and how rough that is for a kid to go through. It's more than a 12 or 13-year-old should have to deal with, but they do. Those kids sit next to you in class. Some of you are those kids that deal with those same things. I've learned that my room is a place where people feel comfortable. It's a place where people feel safe. It's a thing that I try to push for. And I'm hoping that has worked for you guys this year, where you have felt safe or comfortable in my room. And one of the things I've learned is kids who are unhappy lash out at other people. In all my years of talking to kids, I have never met a happy bully. I've never met a kid who bullied other people who was in a good place mentally. It just doesn't happen. People who have bad home lives are jealous of those who have good home lives. And oftentimes that comes out in bullying, in anger, and making fun of other people. Because they don't know how to handle their own sadness. They don't know how to handle their own pain. And that's what worries me with you guys, is that I have seen some of that anger and bullying and meanness in you guys this year, which worries me that if you are doing that, that means you are hiding something. You are hiding pain in your life. And it starts off when you hide that pain by attacking and being mean to others. It's the first way that kids learn how to deal with it. But when you guys get to 8th grade and high school, it doesn't work as well. And that's where kids start to turn to drugs and alcohol. Here's the problem with drugs and alcohol. They work. If they didn't work, people wouldn't use them. If drugs didn't dull pain, if alcohol didn't make you feel better, people wouldn't do it. But when it makes you feel better, it also kind of destroys you. And that's the worry I have for some of my students this year, is that I worry about the path in front of you. I worry about the pain that you're feeling. I worry about the trauma that you have and how you're going to deal with it. And I don't want you to be a kid that turns down that path. When I look at you guys, I see two paths in front of you. I see a path of happiness and joy and good choices, and a path of pain and sorrow and bad choices. I think those paths are in front of every person. And everybody's paths have different widths. Some kids, your good path is really wide because life has set you up for that, where you come from a good family, you have a good home, you have love and support, grades come easily to you, sports come easily to you, whatever it may be, and your path of goodness is very wide. And when you have those opportunities to make poor choices, hopefully you don't take them, because your wide path is strong enough to keep you on it. Others of you have a very wide, dark path where there is a lot of struggle and pain in your life. And you might not even realize that there is a bright path in front of you. And it's those kids that worry me. It's those kids that I see that I fear will turn to alcohol or drugs or whatever pain is out there, and they'll find a way to try to cover it. And I don't want that for you. So this year, my goal was to try and help build confidence for you, was to try and help build understanding as a person. I think because I can't be with you for the rest of your life, I can't be that person that is always there, I wanted to help you understand that you are strong enough to get through it. So what I've tried to do this year is help you as a person find the strength. And for each of you, it was in different ways. For some of you, it was Simpson Sheets. For some of you, it was Struggle Town. For some of you, it was standing in class. It just depends. But for each one of you, I wanted to help you find how to become the best version of yourself. And some of you are already on that path. Some of you guys have fully embraced that path. And I think some of you aren't quite ready to see that path yet. But when you are confronted with these choices coming up this summer into 8th grade, I want you to be strong enough to make the right choice, because I know it's not an easy choice to make. I've been there, and I've had those same temptations. Another thing I want you guys to take from my class is that you can control your own life. A small story. When I was in 8th grade, my bully, Chad, who was on the wrestling team, who I did not like, my 8th grade year, he was in my PE class, and my acne came in my 8th grade year. It was my first time dealing with it, and it came in bad, and no matter what medication I took, it just was all over my face. And I remember one day, I was talking to these popular girls in class, and I was all happy because they were like laughing at what I said, and it made me feel all important and special. And Chad came up, and he was like, "Why are you guys talking to Pizza Face?" And then they all looked at me, and they all started laughing and giggling. And it hurt, and it broke me. Both of those girls laughing at me who had just been talking to me, and Chad saying that one little comment broke me enough that I just turned away and walked away from it. And I went home that day, and I talked to my mom, and I was explaining to her what happened. And she goes, "Oh," she goes, "that's awful." And I go, "Yeah." She goes, "So is this Chad kid like a friend of yours?" And I go, "No, I hate Chad. I want him to die in a hole." And she goes, "Oh." She goes, "Were the girls friends of yours?" And I go, "No." It was like the first time I'd ever talked to them, but they were real cute and they were popular, and so I was like really happy I got a chance to talk to them. She goes, "They're not friends of yours?" And I go, "No." She goes, "Do you know them?" I'm like, "Not really. I just know they're in my class." And she goes, "Oh." And my mom thought about it for a moment. And then she goes, "So why do you care?" I went, "What?" She goes, "Why do you care what Chad said? Why do you care that those girls laughed at you?" And I said, "Because he was popular and he made fun of me." She goes, "But he's not a friend. Why do you care about what someone says to you that's not a friend? Why are you giving him the power to make you upset if you don't even care about him?" And I'll be honest, I was too young to understand what she was telling me at the time. But I'm going to pass those same words along to you that she gave to me. Why do you care what other people say about you? Why do you give power to people you don't care about? If a kid makes fun of you, if a kid bullies you, why do you care what they say? If it's not a friend, if it's not someone you care about, why do you give their words power and strength? Why can't you control your own life? And it was a couple years later that I had that epiphany. I spent most of my 8th grade year trying to be popular. It was my dream. It was everything I did. It's why I joined football. It's why I joined wrestling. It's why I dressed the way I did. I was convinced that if I hung out with the popular kids, that I would eventually become popular. To the point where I ditched friends. I have a friend named John, who I will never forget about the fact that I stopped talking to him because I didn't think he was popular, and I thought he was holding me back. And I can remember the look on his face when I threw him to the side in my attempt to be popular, and that haunted me as an awful thing that I did. It didn't stop me. I kept trying to be popular. And then beginning of my freshman year, I was on my school bus and I was sitting behind these two popular girls and they were talking loudly. And I was listening to them talk, and what they were saying was being mean about some other kid on the bus. And I was listening to them trying to figure out how I could get into their conversation so that I could try to get on their good side. When I realized I didn't even like them. These two girls that I was going to try to impress by making fun of another kid, as I listened to them, I'm like, they're not even good people. Why would I attack another kid to impress two girls who I don't even like? And it made me re-examine my life about why do I let other people impact me if I don't care about them? And so it's why I've become the person I am today. Why you guys see me with painted nails or painted toenails or colored hair or long hair, or the fact that I go around at Camp Tecumseh wearing dresses and any number of things that might give you nightmares, because I honestly don't care what people think about me. I've realized and I've learned that no matter what I do, people are going to attack me. Even today, I have parents, I have kids who make fun of me, and people and kids who attack me. No matter what you do in life, people are going to attack you. People are going to make fun of you. You cannot be good enough to outrun it. There will always be haters out there. So, why change who you want to be? If there are always going to be people who attack you, why not be you? Why not be the version of you that you want to be? Why let other people hold you back? If you want to be outgoing, be outgoing. Are you afraid other kids in class are going to make fun of you? Who cares? Are you wanting to be the class clown? Be hilarious. Do you want to be smart? Then study. Figure out who you want to be, and don't let anyone else stop you from being that person. Also, one of the reasons I run my class the way I do is I've learned discipline is good. Getting in trouble for when you do something bad is good for you because it shows that someone cares about you. Every time that I made you stand in my class or sit in Struggle Town or do a Simpson sheet, or I would make fun of you for whatever you did in class, it was not because I didn't like you, it was the opposite. It's because I liked you. If you can, think about, do you know a kid who doesn't get in trouble for what they do from their parents? As in, they can fail a class, they can get a detention, they can put off doing homework for video games, they can stay out late. If you know a kid like that in junior high who gets to do those things, it seems like a good life. It seems like that kid has everything going for them because they can do whatever they want and nothing bad happens. But you have to realize, that's not a good thing. You want parents who give you boundaries. You want parents who hold you responsible for what you do. You want parents who punish you when you do something bad. Punishing you when you do something bad is a sign of love, not a sign of hatred. And I have a number of students who do not have good parents. When you look around your classes, you know there are kids who are not good kids. Those kids grew up to be not good parents. And there are parents out there who are just not good people. And they have kids who suffer because of it. And what hurts me is I know I have those kids who have bad parents, who are stuck in that bad area, who are jealous of other ones, who don't feel accepted at home, who struggle and they don't know what to do. Today's story, or today's talk is not aimed at everybody. Some of you guys, this talk has no meaning to you whatsoever because you lead a fairly decent life, and this has very little impact for you aside from understanding some things about others. But for others of you in here, this hits a little bit closer to home because you know what your home life is like. You guys aren't dumb. You guys know what happens at home. You know what happens in your home. You know what should happen in a home. Some of you guys are going to have to be strong. And you are going to have to rise up above your parents. You are going to have to rise up beyond those adults that are supposed to shape you. Some of you have to be the adult in your family. If you don't have parents that hold you responsible for your choices when you do something wrong, it means that it is your job to do that. Or keep coming back to my room, and I'll keep holding you responsible for those choices too. But it's why I held you responsible for your choices in my room, is because I want you to be the best version of who you are. When I talk about kids with the bad home life, I used to think I know who those kids were throughout the year. That I could look around and I could look at a kid and go, you have a rough home life, or you have a good home life. And then I realized I'm an idiot, and I don't know that. There are kids who I thought had great home lives who have horrible home lives. I've had those kids in my advanced class with all straight A's and have the parents that seem to be very involved, and then I find out later that those parents are abusive and awful, and that kid cries themselves to sleep every night. And I have those kids who I think come from a rough home life who don't, and they have loving parents. I've also learned that people put on masks a lot. They don't want you to know what's going on in their life. And a lot of kids wear a mask at school because they don't want other kids to know what their home life is because they're ashamed or they're scared or they're embarrassed. And so they put on a mask around other kids where they come across as happy or confident or outgoing, and that's not how they truly are. As you guys become more mature over the next couple years, you are going to start seeing some of your friends' masks get revealed, and you are going to start to see that there are things going on in your friends' home lives that you never suspected were there, and you are going to have to make some tough choices with friends. When I talk about that was then, this is now, and that end part of that book that really hit me hard, that's coming for some of you, where you are going to have to decide between friends and the path they are on and your own path and what you want to do. What's that?
I have a pass.
For what?
Madison.
Does Madison have a last name?
Mayberry.
Yeah, she's not in this class. She's in my 6th period. But you want me to just give it to her when she gets here?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm pretty sure she's in this mall.
Wait, is that Ryan Mayberry's
It even
sister?
says so in here, but it says to give it to her when she gets here. So it's all good. Thanks. And so that's where I want you guys to be prepared when you interact with others. This year, if my room has been a good place for you, good. I am glad that you got a chance to come in here and be happy. I've told you that I have past students who come in and talk to me. That is open to any kid. Again, I used to think I know which kids would come talk to me, but every year I get surprised by the kids who want to come back and talk to me. And it's not always the kids I talk to during the school year. I will tell you, even if you don't think we have a connection because you sit quietly in class, or the fact that you think I've yelled at you all the time, or you're guaranteed positive that I hate you in some way, you're wrong. There's not a single kid in here that I don't like and that I have not enjoyed. Absolutely, some of your behaviors have been a little on the goobery side at times, but that comes from teaching 7th grade. I'm well aware of it. If you end up deciding, as we move forward, that you would like to reach out to me I'm always happy to respond. I'm always happy to listen. I'm happy to talk, whether that be in person, if you want to come back and talk, whether that is, I use Remind all summer. When you guys go on to 8th grade and high school, you're welcome to join my Reminds and send me messages. I have kids that are graduating seniors this year who are still on my Remind from 6 years ago. If you send me a message, I will always respond to you. It may take me a couple days because I have children in my house, but I will always respond to you if you need me to. And for those of you who needed me this year as an adult who helped give you a place where you feel safe, I hope I was able to do that. And for those of you who just needed an adult to entertain you and make you smile, I'm hoping I was able to do that for you too. On a slightly different note, thank you for this year. This school year has been really fun for me. I was not expecting it to be as enjoyable as it was, especially with all of the rumors that were swirling about your guys' class coming in. But hands down, you guys have been fun, especially this 5th period. I learned as a teacher that different class periods have different personalities. Like all of your personalities together form one big class personality. Your personality is completely different than my 7th period, which is different from my 1st period. And I've enjoyed this class's personality. It's why I ended up recording you guys more than I think any of my other classes. As much as I may have harassed you at times, you guys were a thing for me to look forward to. I know that kids sometimes look forward to certain teachers' classes. I looked forward to this class because I knew I could get through what I wanted to get through. I knew that I could have good conversations. I knew that you guys weren't hateful towards each other, which I have classes who attack each other. And as an overall group, you guys seem to have gotten along well, which as a teacher means a lot to me. It's why I teach and why I do what I do is to spend the day with you guys. And so I appreciate you guys giving me a good year overall. If you want to impress me next year as an 8th grader, or impress me when you guys go on to high school, it has nothing to do with grades. I'll be honest, I don't care about your grades. It has to do with 2 things. Impress me by finding out who you want to be and being that person. Not caring what other people say about you. Embrace who you want to be. And my other thing is, be nice. It's one of the biggest things I've tried to establish in my class. You guys are smart. You see adults in the world. There's a lot of angry, bad adults out there. And we need to replace them with happier, better people. You guys are those happier, better people. Being nice to someone starts with you guys. I used to think that whole saying where you can't change the world because you're just a single person, I always applied that to myself, especially as a kid, that one person can't really change the world, when you realize one person is always who changes the world. And I put it to you like this. If your life has been changed this year being in my room, then did I change your life? If I changed your life, I'm just one person. So if this one person changed your life, can you change someone else's? And you have to realize it starts small. Sometimes it's just smiling at that one kid who never has someone smile at them. It's being nice to that one person that no one is ever nice to. That's changing someone's world. That's the thing that sticks with someone for years, is instead of choosing awful or meanness, you choose niceness when you interact with somebody. So next year, be who you want to be and be nice to other people. If you do that, I think you'll end up leading a happy life, and you'll be those kids who come back and talk to me in the future, and I get to see the good path that you're on as opposed to the bad path. Tomorrow, this is the last class we have before we get to go to the awards program, and I get to give you one last fun, entertaining story about me getting into a fight when I was in 8th grade with actual winners and losers and blood and all the things you wanted to know. See you later.
Gotta come.